Every great story in the world of investing begins quietly. Not with fireworks, not with headlines, but with two minds crossing paths at exactly the right moment in time. Today, we revisit one of the most meaningful encounters in financial history. The moment when Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger first met two rivers, shaped by completely different landscapes, flowing toward the same ocean of wisdom before they even realized it. Warren Buffett, the young prodigy from Omaha, had already built a reputation for seeing value where others saw dust. He was patient, disciplined, and guided by the teachings of Benjamin Graham, the art of finding bargains, even in forgotten corners of the market. And then there was Charlie Munger, a man carved from a different kind of stone, sharp, logical, deeply curious about every field of human knowledge, psychology, mathematics, history, biology. To him, investing was never just about numbers. It was about understanding how the world works. Their first meeting took place in 1959 at a friend's dinner table in Omaha, a simple gathering. Nothing extraordinary. But sometimes life hides its greatest turning points behind the most ordinary settings. People at that dinner would later recall that Buffett and Munger started talking and simply never stopped. Hours passed like minutes. Not because they agreed on everything, but because they recognized something rare in each other, a mind that could sharpen their own. That night wasn't just a conversation. It was the beginning of a 50-year partnership built on clarity, rationality, humor, and a shared belief that wisdom compounds faster than money. And this is where our journey begins today. But before we dive deeper, welcome to Invest in Wisdom, a calm corner of YouTube dedicated to investing, great books, personal growth, and the stories of extraordinary thinkers who shaped our world. If you enjoy thoughtful content that helps you grow wealth while growing wiser, make sure to subscribe. Join us on this long-term journey where your mind becomes the most powerful investment you will ever hold. Now, let us step back into that room in 1959 and witness the moment when two rivers finally met. When Warren Buffett first met Charlie Munger, he was already successful, more successful than most investors could ever hope to be. But success is not the same as completeness, and even the most talented minds leave blind spots unguarded. Buffett's blind spot was simple. He was too devoted to Benjamin Graham's teachings, the cigar butt strategy, finding companies so cheap that even one last puff of value was enough to turn a profit. It worked. It made money. But it chained him to the ground, limiting how far he could actually fly. Munger saw this immediately, not with criticism, but with clarity. He once told Buffett something that sounded almost casual. Warren, if you just stop buying fair businesses at wonderful prices, you could buy wonderful businesses at fair prices. That one idea was the opening of a door Buffett never realized was locked. Munger believed that truly great companies, the ones with brand power, strong managers, deep moats, and predictable cash flows, could create more wealth over decades than any bargain ever could in a single year. Buffett had always been brilliant at numbers. But Munger taught him to look beyond numbers, to see people, to see incentives, to see durability, to see the invisible engines that keep great businesses running long after cheap ones crumble. Then came a turning point. See's Candies. Buffett once admitted that he would never have bought it if Charlie hadn't pushed him to pay up for quality. See's wasn't cheap, but it had what cigar butt stocks never had: loyal customers, brand love, pricing power, and a product people bought every single year. It became one of the most profitable investments in Berkshire's history, not because it made money, but because it transformed Buffett's philosophy. This was Munger's shock therapy: sharp, but never harsh; direct, but always respectful. He didn't try to replace Buffett's ideas. He refined them. He made them lighter, stronger, more elegant. And Buffett, grateful as ever, once said, "Charlie didn't just make me richer, he made me wiser." The true power of this partnership wasn't found in spreadsheets. It was found in the courage to evolve and in the rare friendship that made evolution possible. Now, let's continue our journey into how Buffett responded to this transformation and the moment he realized just how deeply Charlie Munger had changed his life. Warren Buffett did not immediately understand how profoundly Charlie Munger would reshape his life and investment philosophy. Their friendship began with long, curious conversations, but the real turning point came quietly, months after their first meeting. At that time, Buffett was still practicing the strategies he had learned from Benjamin Graham, buying deeply undervalued companies, one after another, focusing almost entirely on cheapness rather than quality. It was a method that worked, but it also kept him anchored to short-term bargains instead of long-term greatness. Charlie Munger observed this with patience. He had immense respect for Buffett's discipline and genius with numbers, but he could see that Buffett's potential reached far beyond the limitations of cigar-butt investing. Munger believed that investing was not limited to balance sheets or discounted prices. It was an intellectual pursuit that demanded a wider view of human behavior, incentives, competitive moats, and the long-term durability of a business. He wanted Buffett to stop looking only at where a company had been and start imagining where a company could go. Over the following years, their discussions grew deeper. Sometimes they were brief exchanges. Sometimes they stretched late into the night. Buffett would bring companies he was analyzing, and Munger would expand the analysis in ways Buffett had never fully considered, by examining customer loyalty, managerial integrity, pricing power, emotional appeal, industry structure, and all the invisible forces that determined whether a business could survive decades of competition. Slowly, Buffett began to see that Munger wasn't challenging his strategy, he was expanding it. There came a moment during one of these quiet conversations when Buffett suddenly recognized the magnitude of Munger's influence. He realized that Munger had pushed him not away from value investing, but toward a more complete and elevated version of it. Instead of searching endlessly for cheap businesses, Buffett began searching for great businesses, companies with strong brands, predictable earning power, and long-term competitive advantages. This shift would transform Berkshire Hathaway and define his career. Years later, Buffett would openly acknowledge the truth that had crystallized that day. Charlie Munger changed the trajectory of his life. Not by giving him more information, but by helping him develop a richer worldview. Munger broadened his thinking, raised his standards, and encouraged him to invest with greater ambition and deeper insight. Their partnership became one of the longest, most admired collaborations in financial history, not because they always agreed, but because they consistently elevated one another. Buffett became the compass, steady and disciplined. Munger became the map, revealing the terrain ahead. Together, they built a framework of wisdom that would guide Berkshire Hathaway through every market condition, and this realization, Buffett understanding how profoundly Munger had expanded his thinking, was the moment their legendary partnership truly began. For more than 50 years, the partnership between Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger became one of the most extraordinary collaborations in the history of business. It wasn't held together by contracts, obligations, or dramatic promises. It grew from something far stronger, a shared devotion to rationality, an almost instinctive respect for each other's thinking, and a quiet understanding that two independent minds could achieve far more together than either could alone. From the outside, their partnership looked simple, two calm men making careful decisions. But beneath that simplicity was a deep harmony. Buffett brought unmatched patience and emotional discipline, the ability to stay steady through fear, greed, bubbles, and storms. Munger brought a sharp, multidisciplinary intellect, drawing wisdom from psychology, engineering, biology, philosophy, whatever helped him understand how the world really worked. When they talked, their perspectives merged. One focused on numbers, the other on human nature. One saw value in the balance sheet, the other saw durability beyond the numbers. Their conversations were the secret engine powering decades of success. They disagreed often, but never argued. Buffett once said, "Charlie and I have never had a single fight." And Munger explained why. When both people are committed to the truth, there's nothing to fight about. That guiding principle shaped not only their partnership, but the entire culture of Berkshire Hathaway. They didn't chase trends, react to noise, or gamble on emotions. They focused on clarity, simplicity, and long-term thinking. A typical moment between them might sound like this. Buffett would say, "Charlie, the numbers here look promising," and Munger would calmly reply, "Numbers matter, Warren, but the real question is whether this business will still matter 10 years from now? Buffett would pause, smile, and say, "All right, let's think deeper." These exchanges were never about winning. They were about refining each other's ideas until only the strongest insight remained. Over time, this rhythm became their symphony. Two minds tuning each other every day, finding harmony in patience, logic, and shared humility. Through recessions, crises, soaring markets, and global uncertainty, their trust never wavered. Buffett was the steady pilot, Munger the precise navigator. Together, they guided Berkshire through half a century of markets without losing their center. Their partnership wasn't loud, but it was powerful. It proved that greatness does not always come from bold strokes. It can come from quiet consistency, shared principles, and the rare ability to think side by side for a lifetime. Even today, their 50-year symphony still echoes across the investing world, reminding us that the right partner doesn't just help you succeed, they help you see the world more clearly. In the long story of Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, the most powerful lesson does not come from their wealth or their success. It comes from the simple truth that no great thinker grows alone. Every person who rises to extraordinary levels has someone beside them who sharpens their mind, expands their perspective, and challenges them to become a better version of themselves. Munger was that person for Buffett. But their partnership also raises a question for anyone who hopes to grow, in investing or in life. Who is your Charlie Munger? Your Charlie Munger is the person who pushes you to think deeper rather than faster, the one who is not impressed by shortcuts, not tempted by noise, and not swayed by popular opinion. It is someone who values clarity more than comfort, truth more than agreement. This person might not always tell you what you want to hear, but they will always help you see what you need to understand. And they do this not through conflict, but through calm reasoning and genuine care for your growth. Your Charlie Munger is also someone who expands your worldview. They introduce you to disciplines outside your own, making your thinking wider and more resilient. They remind you that wisdom is not found in a single field, but in the intersection of many. They encourage you to raise your standards, to choose quality over convenience, and to invest your time and energy into things that endure. Perhaps most importantly, your Charlie Munger is someone who helps you avoid your own blind spots. We all have them: biases, habits, assumptions, emotional tendencies that quietly shape our decisions. The right partner sees what you cannot see and gently brings your attention to it, not to prove themselves right, but to help you avoid mistakes and grow stronger. And just like Buffett and Munger, the right partner does not have to think exactly like you. In fact, the opposite is often more valuable. You need someone whose perspective stretches yours, whose thinking style complements your own, and whose honesty helps you refine your ideas without damaging the relationship. In the end, the story of Buffett and Munger reminds us that wealth compounds, but so does wisdom, and it compounds faster when shared with the right person. If you want to go far, if you want to grow your mind as well as your portfolio, then finding or becoming someone's Charlie Munger may be one of the most important investments you can ever make. Because the right partner doesn't just walk beside you, they elevate the path ahead. In the end, the story of Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger is more than a tale of wealth, success, or strategy. It is the story of two minds who found harmony in a world filled with noise, two thinkers who built a lifelong partnership on clarity, respect, and truth. For more than 50 years, they walked side by side, sharpening each other's ideas, challenging each other's assumptions, and shaping a philosophy that changed not only Berkshire Hathaway, but the entire world of investing. Their collaboration became a living example of what wisdom looks like when shared, not hoarded, when refined through friendship, not rivalry. It was a partnership without drama, without ego, without competition. A partnership where brilliance did not collide, but converged. And as time passed, their legacy grew into a quiet reminder to all of us. Success is never just the result of one great mind, but often the result of two minds willing to grow together. Buffett once said that he was lucky to walk through life with Charlie, and Charlie once said that the best thing a human being can do is help another human being think better. Together, they fulfilled both statements. Their story ends not with a grand final act, but with the simple beauty of two men who found the right companion at the right time and built something that will endure long after both are gone. If you want to explore more stories like this, stories of remarkable people, timeless wisdom, and the turning points that shaped great lives, remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join us on this long-term journey of growing wiser and compounding your mind along the way.